It's time now for Down on the Corner with Dale Hoffman, North Central Arkansas's premier news talk program. Brought to you by Sears Hometown Store, locally owned and operated right here in Mountain Home.
Good morning, North Central Arkansas, Southern Missouri. It is Thursday, September 24th, 2020. It is 7 a.m. Sleep, it is like 6:15.
Okay, I mean, when you. So I use my normal wake up time. I was kind of thinking this is funny how we're just going right into this.
I'm happy to sleep in
6:30, 6:45 since my eternal alarm.
Yeah.
But I will always mandate that, yes, like 4:50 a.m. is.
But I tell you what, with your crazy schedule, you've got a good excuse to sleep whenever you need to.
I don't want to pin it on my crazy schedule. I would just say normal, if it were even without politics. I don't want to use that as a crutch. But no, I would probably still be about 6:30, 6:45.
Yeah.
I'm a night owl.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to turn in early and get up early.
When you wake up at 4 a.m., yes, I would suppose you have to.
Is that what time you get up now?
I get up 5:15.
I get up at 3:30.
About 5:15.
About 3 to 3:30.
Is that your normal, Scooter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Like what time do you go to bed? 6?
I wish. I wish. I hope to be in bed by 10.
I mean, I always feel like if I can get 5 hours of sleep a night, it's about like
I'd be a zombie.
That's people are different, but yeah, I get like 5 hours.
You get a routine, you get used to it.
That's true. That's true. Down on the Corner is brought to you by your local hometown Sears store at 1029 Highway 62 East, 425-3191. The very best in home appliances, lawn care equipment, tools, home entertainment, you name it. I tell you what, isn't that great to have a Sears store like that?
Phenomenal.
I mean, to have, you know what it is to have hometown folks like this.
And locally owned.
Yeah,
and that's the people that, some people still don't know that a lot of these stores, they are locally and independently owned.
Yep.
Not part of some big corporate conglomerate, and so these are people that live in your communities, that support your communities.
You betcha.
Also, the benefit between that is every store can kind of do their own thing, little glitches. I mean, he's a Sears store, but he also offers Husqvarna. He also offers DeWalt tools, and he does all service in-house now. You don't have to send anything out. He's got his own
techs. That's the thing of the past that's coming back. Ain't that cool?
What, the service in-house?
Yeah.
Yep.
Washers, dryers, fridges. I mean,
mowers.
Mowers.
It's a big thing. The follow-up after the sale. Exactly. I remember I bought a vacuum cleaner from Sears. It's probably been 3 years ago. And so I was in there looking around at all the, of course, today, like they got 100 models of almost everything. Yeah. And so I was looking, and the young lady came up to help me, and I was looking at, a vacuum, and it was probably, almost $350. And she's like, well, how big's your house? How much carpet do you have? What are you going to be using it for? And I'm like, well, I've got mostly laminate flooring. I have some rugs, but at the time I had 2 dogs. And she's like, well, you need this shark, and it's going to be, it's like $180, and it's going to foot the bill, and da-da-da. And it's like downsold me.
Wow. Told you what you needed.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Could have very easily said, well, here's this $500 top of the line, da-da-da-da, and I probably would have bitten the hook. Wow. She's like, hey, so here's what you asked me. How big's your house? How much carpet do you have? What kind of flooring do you have? And pets, et cetera, et cetera. And so I told her, and she's like, no, here's, this is what you're going to want.
Wow. Ain't that cool?
There you
go.
That's
right here at Sears.
Yeah, that's.
Wow. If you're in Ozark County, Missouri, come on down. Marion County, Searcy County, come on up. Fulton County, come on over. Love to have you visit your hometown Sears store, 1029 Highway 62 East. Same parking lot as Orscheln's. They're up on the hill behind Wendy's, out in front of Physical Therapy Connection. Give them a call at 425-3191. Your hometown Sears store, locally owned and operated. I can't say enough good things about Sears. And just glad to have them part of the Twin Lakes area. Quite an asset to the Twin Lakes area. I'm enjoying Brewed Awakening coffee. You can do the same thing with 3 locations to serve you. You got Baxter Regional Medical Center lobby. Follow the rules and regulations for COVID-19 there. Then, of course, you have Bomber Boulevard and 62 East Plaza drive-thrus. And Bomber Boulevard at 7:04, according to the computer clock here, will be getting busy probably within the next 15 to 20 minutes. Of course, you've got the drive-thru at the east part of town, what I call the Walmart Plaza. And they'll be out in front of Anytime Fitness. And Mike says, we're real coffee. And he told me, he says, man, I can place an order for beans. They roast them and send them to me. So you get the freshest beans right here in Mountain Home from Brewed Awakening. I mean,
he gets them within 24 hours of roasting.
Yeah.
Really?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, within 24 hours of being roasted. That's how fresh those beans are.
phenomenal.
That cool? That's some fresh beans, let me tell you.
You know, how many times have y'all been to the Starbucks there here at Mountain Home?
Never.
Scooter?
No.
I have not either. That's just...
I'm a Brewed Awakening guy, you know.
I don't really do coffee. I like their cinnamon rolls. They have got. Okay. Have you been to Brewed Awakening and got their cinnamon rolls?
I have. Yeah.
All right, it's a meal.
Yeah, no, it's when you say like a cinnamon roll, you're talking. Yes, I mean it's
DeSoto hubcap style.
Yeah, yeah. It's not one of these little tiny. It's a meal.
If you're not eating it with a fork or not, like you're using two hands to hold on to.
When I bring them in, they'll fill a paper plate, and I'll bring in silverware so you can. Literally navigate the. It's not something you just pick up and eat like a little biscuit. It's like almost have to have two hands on it. Brewed Awakening coffee, the best coffee town, like Mike says from Brewed Awakening. Hey, we're real coffee. You can get your pumpkin spice, your French vanilla, you get your mochas, your lattes, your frappuccinos. They've got it all. Brewed Awakening coffee, the best coffee in town. If you're not drinking Brewed Awakening, you're just drinking muddy water. Mike and the staff do a great job at all 3 locations. So stop by one of them today. Of course, if it's the hospital, follow the rules and regulations according to COVID-19 protocol. Other than that, use the drive-thrus at Bottom Boulevard and 62 East Plaza. Good coffee.
Dale, you strike me as probably like a frappuccino kind of guy.
Me?
Scooter and I are probably just straight black coffee.
Oh, yeah. If I'm going to eat coffee, it's straight black.
No, I put a little cream and sweet. I just kind of
I'm sure you all kind of gussy it up.
Just a little bit.
A little whipped cream or something. And
I use...
we call that foo-foo-fying.
Yeah.
No, that foo-foo stuff's that buttered latte stuff.
Now, all right, with this said, my brother, he is the worst when it comes to these coffee drinks.
Are you
kidding? He will drive like 50 miles out of the way to stop at this coffee shop on the direction he's headed. I'm not kidding. We walk into this place, and I'm like, do they have sodas? And he's like, I'm going to take a espresso with 3 shots of this, 1 shot of that. I want to heat it to 127 degrees, and then so much 1.25 inches of foam or whatever. And I'm like, how did you realize that's what you need? How many cups did it take to, that 126?
Yeah, no, to get that specific.
But then you look down the line and everybody's got their list of what they like. And it's like, they got their temperatures down.
Well, it's like having a restaurant, and you can appreciate this. It's like, so you go to take the order for breakfast, and somebody's like, well, I want my bacon, crispy. And so you bring out the bacon, and it's, crispy, and it might be almost burned to a crisp. And like, I actually want it a little bit crispier than this.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to go like, okay. And what are we going to do to get this more crispy? And I get it. Where you can order gets mixed up, and you've got the kind of the soggy bacon. Someone's like, "No, I want it crispy." Okay, it's a reasonable. Okay, we'll fix that. But then you bring it out, and it's like, well, almost by anybody's standard or definition, this would qualify as crispy. And this was like, no, I need it just a little bit crispier than this.
Oh my word!
Well, what are you going to do to?
It's about as bad as we had one guy that his coffee out of the coffee thing was not hot enough. It's got to be boiling when it hits him. And trying to boil coffee, all you can do is put it in the microwave and just get it hotter than crud.
Yeah.
And it's like, if not, he will complain and send it back. I can't taste it. It's not hot enough.
No, brother. Wow.
Can't taste it. I don't know. I was like, I get maybe you want it hot because you're gonna drink it slowly and you just don't want it to get cool too fast.
It takes all kinds.
But it's a lot of patience, isn't it?
Yeah.
For your favorite coffee in town, go to Brewed Awakening. 3 locations to serve you. Like I say, Mike and the staff do a great job at all 3 locations. Roller Funeral Homes of Arkansas bring the morning prayer each and every day with all our respect. Roller Funeral Homes, 29 in the state to serve you, with 1 in Memphis, Tennessee. Here in town, talk to Brad, Bruce, Charlotte, Chris. Anyone else out there can help you. Perhaps people out there I don't know yet. And when you see with all our respect on the screen right there, that's how they do business on a daily basis. And can't say enough good things about the Roller Funeral Home people. With all our respect, Roller Funeral Homes all across the state, right here in Mountain Home, Roller Funeral Homes. Let's pause now for the morning prayer. Heavenly Father, yesterday the governor of California announced yesterday that by 2035, just 15 years from now, gasoline-powered cars and trucks would not be sold in that state. The reason is climate change. But Lord, how long will it take before liberal governors and others realize that the Lord God, Jesus Christ, is in control? In Scripture, we learned that you, while in a boat, spoke, "Peace, be still," proving that you have control of the weather. You, Lord, are in control of everything. Some people don't trust or believe in you, and that's the problem. If we trust in you and obeyed your commands, our issues would be limited. Lord, I pray you bring us back to you. That's my prayer today. Amen. Amen. Roller Funeral Homes of Arkansas, bring the morning prayer each and every day. With all our respect, Roller Funeral Homes. He's been practicing.
Yeah, right. Dun, 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 the weather.
I lied.
No, that last note, that was, I kind of teared up.
Teared up or clogged up? Morning weather brought to you by the Z-Team. Bob and Linda Zador for all your real estate needs. 870-405-0793.
I do not have the live cam. Let me look and see if I can get it back up here.
All right. While you're doing that, I'll tell Senator Flippo about the top award that the Z-Team has received. This is not just Arkansas. This is the top national corporate award. Yep. Senator John Bozeman was a guest, I don't know, last week or 2 weeks ago, and kind of set Bob up, saying, and the senator congratulated both Bob and Linda for outstanding service where you achieved this big award. I mean, it's quite the honor.
And if you know Bob and Linda Zadora, it really would not come as much as a surprise to you, to people that know them and how they operate, how they carry themselves, how they do business, their attention to their customers, to clients, and that, once you get to know them, and I know Bob and Linda well, you hear things like this and about their recognition within their industry for, how they perform. And he's like, well, that's about par for the course for how they operate.
Yeah. I mean, and it's well deserved. I mean, they've been, you hear, well, they bend over backwards. No, they do that several times.
That's what they do.
They do that several times in one transaction, It's phenomenal. We get the camera?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a look at the White River, brought to you by the Z-Team. Brought to you by Bob and Linda Zadora, the Z-Team, for all your real estate needs. You can go to retirearkansas.net and look at the live webcam. You're looking into the city of Cotter. The clearing right there is the Baseball Park Railroad Museum there. 62412 Bridge to the left side of the screen, Contractors Trust area to the right-hand side. And, of course, the cameras in Marion County, of course, Cotter's in Baxter County. The river separates the two counties here in north central Arkansas. You can take a little picture of this. There's a camera icon. You can take a still photo of this from the live webcam and share it with friends and family. While you're on the website, retirearkansas.net, check out all the listings, not only with the Z-Team, but all through Century 21 LEMAC Real Estate and all other listings through the multiple listing service in this area. Whether you're in Arkansas or Missouri, the team is ready to go, ready to serve you today. Call them at 870-405-0793. The Z-Team, Bob and Linda Zadora, for all your real estate needs. They bring you the morning weather each and every day. So right now we're at 57 degrees, both in Harrison and Mountain Home, 58 at Batesville, 57 in Salem and Calico Rock, 59 in Flippin. Warm spot right now is Marshall at 61, 57 at West Plains, 52 in St. Louis, 58 in Poplar Bluff, 54 at Springfield. And in contrast, only 7 degrees difference between Watford City, North Dakota and Mountain Home. And at some point, I've seen it minus 40 and 55 here. I mean, wow, terrible. Anyway, radar-wise, they're getting some shower activity in some much-needed areas of Washington and Oregon. Northeast Oregon right now getting some showers that moves up into the northern part of Idaho and northwest Montana. Other showers in the northern part of the country in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and on into the state of Michigan. In the southeast part of the country, we have showers from Tennessee to the Carolinas and Virginias, West Virginia, North South Carolina, northern Georgia, and Mississippi getting a lot of rain right now just northeast of Jackson. You can see right here across the state line into Alabama. And Little Rock, Fort Smith, Springdale, everything looking good there. A little bit to the east of Jonesboro, to the north of Memphis, kind of straddling the river, either side of the Mississippi River right there. Interstates 30, 40, 49, 30, 40, 49, 55, 555, and 530 all clear at this time, with the exception of a little bit on 55 around the Blytheville, Osceola area. You can see shower activity on Interstate 155 towards Jackson, I-40 between Memphis and Nashville, I-24 around Murfreesboro, Tennessee. State of Missouri, just a little bit in the Boot Hill, Missouri around Kennett. That would be affecting Highway 412 just a little. Most generally, the state of Missouri, clear of rain right now. Interstate 29, 49, 44, 70, 55, looks good there. State of Illinois, we got I-64 from East St. Louis, Illinois, east in good shape. I-70, Vandalia, Effingham, I-57 running south towards Carroll, Illinois, looking pretty good right there. No watches or warnings to speak of other than a little bit of fog in northwest Arkansas, south central Missouri, northeast Oklahoma, a little bit in Texas, flood watch box, Mississippi, Alabama, and southern parts of Tennessee. 7-day forecast today, 74 degrees, patchy fog, mostly sunny. Low tonight, 55 degrees, 81 on Friday, 85 on Saturday, 85 on Sunday, 77 on Monday. And we do drop down to 50 degrees, I think, on Friday night and get a little bit cooler. Fall is in the air. Checking iDrive Arkansas, we've had a vehicle fire, and it's still, I looked at this at 5:30 this morning, and we had a vehicle fire reported by RDOT on Interstate 30 westbound lanes. And showing here first reported at 5:16 a.m., and it's still on the map. And I know Arkadelphia is a long way off, but I show you these things so you know how to navigate this in case you need it to be traveling something like that. So you wonder what this is, wonder what that is. Just click on and it kind of helps you navigate throughout the state of Arkansas. Everything looking good on our highways there. Everything moving good. Missouri Department of Transportation, Highway 201 and Highway J in Missouri is open all the way to Highway 160. That work has been done. Lick Creek Bridge is open on J Highway. They got that finished. Bull Shoals Lake sitting at 670.87. It's 11.87 feet above the full pool of 659. Norfolk Lake, 560.80. It's 8.8 feet above the full pool of 552. We're almost at normal pool on some of these lakes. Allergy suffers a medium day today, 5.2 with ragweed, chinnopods, and sagebrush. Tomorrow drops even lower to 4.6. Not bad at all. Arkansas Department of Health, we have 77,963. Total COVID cases with 69,952 recovered. That's an 89.7% recovery rate as of today. In the 6-county area, Baxter, Marion, Searcy, Stone, Izard, and Fulton, we have a total of 234 active of a population of 104,900 with recovered at 937. Baxter at 64, Marion at 18, 5 in Searcy, 51 in Stone, 65 in Izard, 31 in Fulton, for a total of 234 active in the 6-county area. Crude oil prices have jumped to about $40 a barrel. It's been fluctuating from $39.95 to about $40.05, so it's kind of fluctuating around the $40 barrel. Dow Jones took a beating yesterday, dropping 525.05 to 26,763, but it's still a strong economy when you can drop 525 points and still stay above 25,000 on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Morning updates, the weather, all brought to you by the Z-Team, Bob and Linda Zador, for all your real estate needs. 870-405-0793, retiredarkansas.net. If you haven't figured it out yet, Senator Scott Flippo is our guest. A lot of fun with senators here, so we're going to be right back and talk with Senator Flippo. Be right back. Take a step back in time when going to a barbershop meant more than just getting a haircut. Come into Legionnaire Barbershop today, a unique gentleman's barbershop. Get back in style with 2 experienced licensed barbers who are trained in tonsorial arts and lock removal and are happy to give you a straight razor shave. Legionnaire Barbershop is veteran-owned and operated and located at 1041 Highland Circle, Suite 55 in Mountain Home. For a full, old-fashioned barbershop experience, stop by Legionnaire Barbershop today.
When you think about Hospice of the Ozarks, it's our desire that you think about finding a way to live your life to the fullest while living with a serious illness. If you ever need help and support, we provide a team of healthcare professionals and volunteers that will support your physical, emotional, and spiritual aspects of life while doing the same for your family and caregivers in the comfort of your own home or wherever you call home. When you think about Hospice of the Ozarks, we hope that you grant us permission to walk on the journey with you. Your not-for-profit option since 1979.
Hi, we're Bob and Linda Zadora, the Z-Team at Century 21 Lemac Realty, and we'd like you to meet the rest of our team.
When you are working with the Z-Team, you will find that not only are they down-to-earth people, but they are trained professionals who work with downsizers, first-time homebuyers, and clients who may want to relocate to our beautiful Ozarks. Our team has agents who specialize in lake and river properties, listing and selling raw land, acreage, and all residential homes. Listing your property with the Z-Team will help get it sold with unmatched Century 21 global marketing. You can find out more at retiretoarkansas.net.
Jim Brown Company keeps you cool when it's hot and warm when it's not. A trusted name in the mountain home community, Jim Brown Company provides timely heating and cooling installation and repairs. Our certified technicians incorporate new technology on every job to provide you with the most advanced services. At our metal fabrication shop, we handle projects big and small. We've created everything from commercial ducts to custom designs.
I'd recommend Jim Brown Company to my friends and neighbors. The reason being they have high-tech equipment. Their service techs are well qualified for the job that they do, and they also send me a report after all the work is done so I know exactly what my unit's doing.
By visiting our showroom, you can learn all about our heating and cooling products. We'll educate you on your options and help you decide on the right solution. For total comfort at your home or business, choose Jim Brown Company. Quality service with a family name since 1964.
At Connor Family Funeral Home, our goal is to provide our friends and neighbors with caring, compassionate services at an affordable price. Connor Family is a full-service funeral home that offers a wide range of services to meet your family's needs and customs. We are the first on-site crematory in the area and provide many options to memorialize your loved ones and address all the details for a more personalized service. Where compassion and affordability meet, Connor Family Funeral Home in Mountain Home.
Diatley Dental Care is a family-owned dental practice. Doctors Irvin and Christina Diatley grew up in the Twin Lakes area and are proud to serve the community. With modern treatment methods and state-of-the-art technology, they are dedicated to providing exemplary care to patients of all ages. Our compassionate team consistently receives training above and beyond the standard of care.
We're changing the way you see dentistry.
Come be a part of our dental family.
Driftwood Lanes. Fun happens here.
$722. Thank you for his alarm clock. I didn't.
And he's actually dressed nice. And
yeah, no, they're not the same clothes I wore
you know.
yesterday, and I kind of feel that all the viewers are probably in on the joke at this point, so no need to rehash it all.
No, I'm sure there's a couple out there that's like, "What are you talking about?"
No. It goes back years.
Oh,
we had a lot of fun with that.
5 years ago, I overslept when they were doing the radio program and not on TV, and showed up and rushed in, didn't even brush my teeth, and was radio. And ever since then, I've never been able to live it down, and that is good and fair because of people that know me know that I'm not afraid to give folks a hard time, especially those I like. And
There you go.
so, when you give it, you got to be able to take it.
I want to get into some discussion here, and about a month and a half ago, I was finishing up down here at the studio. We do city council, and it's Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Scooter has it all set up. I just come down and kind of move the camera around. Heading south on Cardinal, running low on gasoline. I thought, run into Shell, grab some gas. Well, the computers were down. You couldn't swipe debit card. Oh, well, I got back in vehicle going north on Cardinal, going to Casey's. Policeman saw me with no seatbelt. So I pull over. I was on Redbud by this time, and
Why are you going there, Dale?
well, the point is, very nice gentleman, and Corey Manuel did the show. And I said compliment him because he did a good job.
He
the
says
law
that
says wear a
because he
seatbelt,
got a
and I wasn't
warning.
doing it, and he pulled me over.
Yeah.
Okay. He gave me a warning ticket, or warning, so buckle up. Okay. So I did. But the policeman was professional, kind, gentle.
Yeah.
And he says, "Sir, when I passed you, you didn't." I know. I'm guilty. I mean, white flag, I surrender. What do you got to do? I didn't run. But the policeman was professional.
Yep. And here it is. I actually got a speeding ticket, back in February or March of this year. So people know that, the state legislator is still apt to get pulled over and get a ticket. keeps you identifying with everybody else like Dale.
Yep.
So you're not immune to that.
I'm not going to go for that job description then, because I thought that was one of the perks.
I did too until I got a ticket. And so anyway, you speak of interactions with law enforcement. You show respect, you get respect. People are out there. These folks are out there doing a job, and their job is they don't get to write the laws, to pass the laws.
They enforce
to figure
the laws.
That theirs is just a strictly enforcement. And so agree, disagree. And I wasn't a huge fan of the seatbelt law. And however, that's not that's not anything that I would ever want to take out on a law enforcement personnel.
Yeah, exactly.
And you get pulled over. Officers like, it's any reason? I was like, no, I think the speed limit was 45 and I was doing 56 or 57, and it was a 2-mile straight stretch of road and nobody on it. So it's like I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't going anywhere with nothing, and so but being straightforward and being honest and being respectful, and I guess I'm just.
When Corey was there, I said, you need to compliment that policeman, because I said, he said, where was I? I said, Red Bud. And I said, it's somewhere between 7 and 7:30 that after. It was a Thursday. I just finished doing city council on live stream. And, I had got back in the video. I didn't think, I didn't think.
We're living in a time now, it's hard for me to fathom, why people would even want to go into law enforcement right now, given the current climate. And you're seeing in especially some of the larger cities across the country where officers are retiring or stepping down early. You have the chief of police in Seattle, the first black female chief of police in Seattle, and stepped down over criticism. And this is just it's almost already as normal times, like a thankless job. Not too many people are saying, hey, thanks for pulling me over and giving me that ticket. I was in the wrong, and I know, so they're not. It's not always that they're getting, thanks and gratitude. And so, but right now, every time you turn on TV, you go on the computer or something, it is just raking these folks over the coal. It is trying to take a brush and paint them all with the same brush. And it is just absurd.
What's going on in Louisville and Lexington right now?
Yeah, no. I mean, these folks aren't making a lot of money. So they're not making near enough to pay, for what they're having to deal and put up with.
Yeah.
And to find themselves in incredibly difficult situations. And
you got a bunch of drug thugs, and one person got in the crossfire. Had they not been selling drugs and not been breaking the law, they would be alive.
You talked about Louisville, Kentucky. The young lady, Breonna Taylor, who was killed. And it's, regardless of how you look at it, it's a very unfortunate, situation. But let's put this in context. They had a warrant. Her boyfriend has been using her address, to mail drugs there and whatnot. And so they had a no-knock warrant. They did knock and identify themselves as law enforcement. Come in. Breonna's boyfriend, forget this fella's name, comes out, fires starts shooting. They fire back. This was not like they just barged in, didn't do anything, just started firing. Somebody starts shooting at you. Well,
what are you going to do?
What
aim this way. And
the thing is that and the whole narrative surrounding this. Yeah. No intention is well, what about her boyfriend, who put her in a position, and others in this apartment complex? When you start firing at anybody, let alone law enforcement. And to put them under the microscope like that, and it's always easy to Monday morning quarterback and to say what you should have this, that. But I like to know how people are going to respond when they're in those situations and they're getting fired at, whether that's as as a military member, law enforcement.
Yeah.
And these people are not out there actually going around trying to stir the pot. And it's like, what can I do to cast a negative light on myself, on my colleagues, on my profession? How can I go off and inconvenience, citizens? Or it's not what they're doing. They're in difficult situations.
And split-second decisions.
And
this guy pulls a gun and starts shooting at them. What are you going to do?
But the media and the narrative is always it's it's the age that we live in.
I know.
That it's the first to the story, the first break. It's not getting all the facts in order and trying to make sure you got everything in context. It's the juicy details. And even if they're completely wrong, you'll go back and do some, 8-second correction 3 weeks later and then never mention it again. But you spent the previous 3 weeks devoting hours a day to it.
To degrade the police for doing their job. The bottom line, had he not been selling drugs and mailing them to her residence, they'd all be alive.
Hell, had he not started firing at him, they'd be alive.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, like
common sense says, okay, they say, well, he was shot while running from the police. Okay, stop and don't run.
I mean, it's just...
If you're running, that means you're probably guilty and you don't want to go to jail, so you don't break the law to begin with.
There was a...
If I was to grab a gun and point it at a cop, I would expect to get shot. I just would.
Listen,
sorry.
I'd almost expect that, especially up here in our neck of the woods, you grab a gun and point it at anybody, you might want to hedge your bets and assume that person's carrying.
Especially when
and, we all know, they're not toys.
No.
And don't bring it out without, as I understand it, law enforcement, military, you're not training, they're not training to break it out as just shoot him in the knee. No, if you've got reason to break out your service weapon, you're not firing to wound. If it's gotten to that point.
Yeah.
And
if you're in continued gunfire, you're there to end the situation.
If you want to talk about, societal issues or inequities in the law with, the respective communities, then that's a reasonable discussion. To put that on the shoulders of the men and women in law enforcement that are out there trying to enforce, to enforce laws and to keep our, their communities safe. At the time, Louisville had allowed us. I would assume many cities and states allow no-knock warrants. Come in, and they've done away with that. Okay, so the mayor of the city council voted to do away with the no-knock warrants. All right, that's the law now. At that time, it was not. And we had an officer in Little Rock that there was an incident. I forget, was earlier this year or at some point last year, but. Pulled a guy over, ran a tag, his car was stolen, sitting in the parking lot somewhere in Little Rock, and had an acquaintance in the car with him in the passenger seat. And anyway, the officer pulls in and get out of the car, and the guy's not cooperating. And then he puts it in drives and starts driving at the officer, and he pulls out his gun, he goes on the hood and fires at him, and ends up killing the suspect and the individual, and got fired. Judge or whoever ruled, said no, can't fire him. He was then give him his job back, went back, ended up resigning just because of the way that he was treated. I mean, and that's thinking about that. So, I've never met a person that had to be in a position to take another person's life that ever felt good about it. That ever is that looked at as like an exciting thing, or and if you talk to somebody that's been in war, been in law enforcement and have been in those situations, they tend to not to be like, oh, I just love to do that again, and so, but somebody's driving at you and run you over. He's on the hood of the car, and hey, how about you're in a stolen vehicle. How about you stop, get out, and just, go, again, you paint this officer as like excessive force and could have done, and you know what? I'm sorry. Now, there's going to be some, I'm not going to go.
What about the officer who was pinned against the wall or hit up in Springfield? They broke, remember that? I think he just got back to Springfield. He got hit by a car up in I think it was Springfield, Missouri.
Okay.
They broke his legs or something, broke his pelvis. They pinned him against a wall or the sign at the PD. He just got back from rehab at Colorado.
2 officers were shot yesterday in Louisville.
In Louisville, yeah.
And the sad part is the mentality as you listen to his family and they shot him for doing nothing.
Yeah.
What? He was in a stolen vehicle. He tried to run over the cop. What part of nothing is there?
Yeah, no.
But that's their mindset. He shot him for doing nothing.
Okay, we got terrorists to get in airplanes and knock down buildings, and we got thugs to get in the car to run over policemen. It's basically the same thing. You're threatening lives.
And so, it's a difficult and oftentimes a thankless job, for members of our law enforcement. And, again, I've always learned, not just with the interactions with law enforcement, but with anybody, show respect, you get respect. I realize if I get pulled over, it's generally not because for no reason. I might not like the reason or think you're being nitpicky, but okay, but again, yes sir, no sir, I appreciate you, I understand. There's just no reason to escalate, that. Yeah. And to put yourself in a position, where, your mom or dad might lose a child or a son because, you went off and acted like a buffoon.
Yep.
And so, at all this, it just really bothers me, and I know it bothers a lot, to see people, in our law enforcement communities painted with this broad brush and as act like, they are somehow now the enemy.
Yeah, I don't get it. Had I had my seatbelt on, I would have got pulled over.
But exactly. Had I not been speeding, I wouldn't have gotten pulled over. And so, again, there's usually reasons.
Are you the only innocent one here? Or are you gonna confess up?
Yeah, Scooter, come on now. Hey, your signature is opening up and laying down.
We need a priest here for confession.
I've learned this a long time ago, and it's really helped me out that not everybody's as perfect as I am. So,
Okay,
no,
we need to take
what you've learned is to let Dale and Senator Flippo just sit here and continue to run their mouths, and you just stay out of it.
I'm happy to rip on what you say.
Exactly. No, ripping on what I say and contributing to the conversation are two different things, my friend.
Time for a break. More with the Senator after this. When you're out of town, make sure your pet is with someone who will love them as much as you do. At 201 Pet Salon and Resort, your pet is cared for just as they would be at home. 201 Pet Salon and Resort is the only all-suite climate-controlled and air-filtered boarding facility in the area with private and spacious rooms to keep your pet relaxed. And with over 3/4 of an acre of fenced play area, your pet will receive the proper exercise they deserve. 201 also offers professional grooming services. Your best friend is in good hands at 201 Pet Salon and Resort in Mountain Home.
When I grow up, I want to save lives, like a superhero, and show up when people needed me.
When I grow up, I want to do animations. I want to create characters that can fly.
No matter what it is you want out of life, there is a path to get there.
When I grow up, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up, but I know I want to go to college.
Arkansas State University Mountain Home. Take your first step at asumh.edu.
It takes the right gear to survive out here. Oh, there she is, Ferris. It's the best gear around. Strong as an ox. Safe as houses. Out back, there's one powerful beast. Awesome. 4-wheel suspension. Handles whatever Mother Nature throws at you. Designed to take the hard out of hard work and deliver all the power you could need. So if you want to tackle the great outdoors, get yourself a Ferris.
Get the only mower with suspension technology at Mower Warehouse in Mountain Home, where they accept mower trade-ins, have flexible financing options, and services all brands and models. That's Mower Warehouse, located on Buzzard Roost in Mountain Home. At Letty's Mexican Restaurant, we're here to keep you safe during these difficult times, as well as serve you the best Mexican food in the area. That's why we have installed a convenient drive-through window for all your to-go and pickup orders. Give us a call at 870-435-2532 to order your next meal, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and ask us about our daily specials for a low price to feed the whole family. Experience the best in Mexican cuisine. Letty's in Gassville.
Have you ever?
$7:40. Our guest today, Senator Scott Flippo, District 17, and talk a little bit about President Trump signed he had a peace agreement between Israel and the UAE, the United Arab Emirates. Yeah, and that's it almost made the news.
Which under any other times would have been monumental news, but
I mean you've got Israel and the UAE sitting at the White House with a treaty of peace in front with writing utensils to sign this.
Yep.
And you got to dig through the newspaper and you got to, let's see, who did Breitbart have that? I mean, you can't. No. But yeah, we'd rather talk about Portland and the mayor throwing bricks in the windows to help the protesters.
Here's the thing about President Trump. And listen, I voted for him last time, and I'm sure I'm going to vote for him again. And sometimes he can say or do some things that make me shake my head or scratch. It's like, oh, I don't know if I'd have done it exactly like that or whatnot. But one thing that he has just done a great job of realizing, that as a conservative that I actually kind of appreciate, is realizing that the liberal leftist media is never going to like you, never going to try to make you look good. And so he's given up trying to find this middle ground and constantly just, was like, oh, or I apologize. I didn't mean to do it. Like, no. It's not rolling like that. And
he bulldozes through it.
And I think a lot of conservatives that I talk to, like that and appreciate that, is because it's the understanding that no matter what you do, no matter what you say, you could have the oratorical gifts of Lincoln or JFK, and they're still going to be coming at you. It's not,
the old adage is President Trump could say, hey, we found a cure for cancer, and he'd still find some reason to criticize him.
Why didn't you find it earlier?
Yeah.
If you would have allocated, if you had allocated more money back in 2017, that might have gotten it there 6 months earlier. So therefore, all the people that died of cancer as a result is on your. They will always go there.
And in contrast, Joe Biden is saying, if I'm in the White House, we're not going to have any more fires and no more hurricanes. Yeah. Okay.
No, I mean, and
he's been in office. He's served 47 years. What's he done?
Well, listen, I'm sure he's done some things. I'm sure most of them I probably wouldn't be much in agreement with. If you're passing a liberal progressive agenda, you might get things done or make accomplishments, but I'm not usually going to be considered to be good things.
Well, then you look at the passing of the Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and he needs to wait until the new president takes office. That's not what the Constitution says. I don't care if it's January 18th and somebody passes away. On January 18th, he can appoint somebody to the Supreme Court because he's still in office until noon of the swearing in of a new president.
Yeah. Hey, so let's put this all into context. And I get that the narrative out there that the Republicans wouldn't confirm Merrick Garland, Obama's nominee after Justice Scalia passed away, and said that, we need to wait. We're in the middle of an election year. We need to wait till the next president. Okay, so it's the hypocrisy if we're not willing to do that now. And that's the generalized version of the narrative. Okay, well, first of all, Democrats are running the Senate as a president. They're doing it. Bank on it. That is just the lines that are drawn. They're not in that position, so they're going to complain, but had they been in that position, they would. They're also the ones that years ago lowered that threshold from 60 for, confirmations down to 51. Mm-hmm. They did that.
Yeah.
And so
to get their nominee in there,
to advance their justice, to advance, Obama's ability to appoint justices to the court. Or to appeals court and federal courts. And so
they changed the rules, and now we're following and they're fussing about it.
Then so, here it is. You got a number, Republicans have way more seats that they're defending in this election cycle than Democrats. Mm-hmm. And they're going to have to go out there and back into their respective states, to their constituencies, and talk about what are, if their voters are going to be, if their constituents are going to be supportive of them,
Yep.
Go ahead and do it. And so I saw where Mitt Romney came out and announced that he would support the president's authority to nominate.
I wonder who knocked on his back door to tell him to do that, though.
I have no internal insight into all of this, no more than anybody else. But my gut would tell me that at some point Senator McConnell got Republican members together. He started talking internally. It's like, okay, who's all got elections and campaigns going on? What are the margins? How tight are they? Are you in a position to be able to do this? If not, is it going to hurt you? And if I'm going to lose Susan Collins out of Maine and get a Bernie Sanders as a replacement, might not agree with Senator Collins on everything, but I sure as heck want to keep that seat in her hands. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of like, how do these dynamics work? And we can get to 50. Vice President Pence can be the tiebreaker. Yeah. Okay, now we've kind of worked out all this, and now let's go out there and let's make this happen. Yeah. And that is one thing that President Trump, and I've not always had agreements with Senator McConnell, but I'll give him this. He is a brilliant strategist, and he has done a phenomenal job of assisting the president in confirming good conservative judges across the board. Mm-hmm. I mean, phenomenal.
Ever since the days of, who was, I'm trying to think who it was, Earl Warren. Earl Warren back in the 60s. Things have kind of gone haywire since the Earl Warren days. We're just now trying to get control of that, because that's the time when Madalyn Murray O'Hair went to the Supreme Court. They got prayer out of schools. That was 1963, 1964. Look at our school system from 1900 to 1960 and compare 1960 to 2020, and look at the difference. The teachers have basically no authority anymore. Scott, when we were in school, you've got one more warning coming, then your butt's going to be swatted in the hallway.
Yeah. Now, Dale,
whack!
you are significantly older than I am, and so I want to ask you significantly.
Well said.
Can't just say older. Got to have another adjective in there.
Got to throw a little punch.
You bet.
You wait the next time.
Don't feel bad doing it. But I got to ask you a question: is when y'all were in school, and Scooter, you're at least marginally older. Did y'all have that? Did your parents have to sign the permission slip, to allow for the corporal punishment for
yes.
the
no.
teacher?
Yes.
Okay. So yes. And it was just like the teachers didn't need the,
they were the authority.
Okay. So I had the same thing when I was in school. Your parents had to kind of sign off, and
I think they signed it a couple times.
Mine were like, sit back and handwrite a letter. And if you need to go further, by all means.
It was known. I was at first grade. William Holiday School was Pontiac District 105, Fairview Heights, Illinois. Outstanding school district. I haven't been there in 40 years, but it was understood. The thing is, if you misbehave at school and get in trouble, and we find out about it, you're going to be in trouble at home, because the teacher and the principal have authority.
Hey, was there ever this? Well, what's your side of the story? You get in trouble at school or whatnot, and it's like, well, wait a minute, what's your side of the story? And then mom and dad was like, oh, you poor thing, and automatically believe you. Listen, I got paddled one time, and I was in kindergarten. Ooh. And I was 5 years old, and so I had taken the you get a nap time, after lunch. You got a little cot or mat, and so teacher asked me to go around and wake everybody up. She was in the hallway visiting with another teacher, I think, and but I went and grabbed where I knew she kept the paddle, and there was a girl there, and I couldn't tell you why I did it, but I went with her. Just kind of gave her a swat on the butt. It wasn't hard. I was 5 years old, and okay, well. Teacher comes in, I got the paddle, so, I get like to the janitor closet in the hallway, and I get, 2 or 3 licks, and it wasn't bad. I guess, because here's the thing. When I got home, or better yet, when my dad got home, that paddle that I got at school was nothing compared to the belt. Ooh. And it was like, mine wasn't like the open hand spanking.
But now, don't you think that this type of discipline is missing in today's society?
Yes.
Because we're afraid of the ACLU and other people. Oh, you can't.
Or you're doing these long, detrimental, damaging, things to kids that are gonna, that's gonna harm them and inflict all this mental anguish on them for the rest of their lives. And I'm like, no, you know what? I still have a healthy fear of my father. I could probably take him physically.
I'm gonna put it out there. I would have loved timeout.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have loved it. Oh, I mean, I would not be the person that I am today if you gave me timeout. But
no,
I wouldn't have got anything out of it.
But at 10 years old, if your parents are like, okay, no TV for 15 minutes, you need to think about what you've done.
15 minutes? Yeah, try 5 days.
Yeah. I remember my mom kind of like a little wooden spoon in the car, and my sister and I would sit in the back seat acting up, and she just reached back there and just started swatting. You know, I didn't care who she was hitting.
Go 5 days without Gilligan's Island and not seeing Mary Ann. That was punishment, you know?
Oh.
We had one of the girls' PE teachers, this lady that was her job was to do the spankings.
Really?
And for some reason, every teacher you got in trouble, I'm calling blah, blah, blah. She's going to be here with her paddle. She had a special paddle made, and she showed up. And I think she was a PE teacher because that's just a place to feel her. Her real job was to paddle kids. And she loved her job. She really, really did. And we got to know each other pretty well. She's a tough woman.
Next time you two are here, I'm going to bring a priest for confessions. We need to take a break.
You got a paddling, though? You got paddle in school?
Once.
Okay, I got once.
Here's what happened. I was in study hall in 7th grade. Highway 159 ran north and south. It was study hall. I'm on the second floor. Fire trucks are going down just screaming. It's springtime. 3 of us stand up and look out the window and sit back down. You. That's all we did. Sit up, look out the window. And the window was the distance from me to you.
Yeah.
Anyway, break time. Be right back.
Live and learn.
Notice every time you wash your car, you end up wetter than the actual car? Next time, run down to Car Care and let the friendly staff put a smile on your face. Car Care of Mountain Home has a variety of services to clean your vehicle's needs, inside and out. From a simple wash and shine to their outstanding detailed services. Located 1525 Highway 62 East in Mountain Home. Stop by Car Care Mountain Home today, because driving a clean car always makes you feel good.
Hi, I'm Benny with Ammo Dump.
At Ammo Dump, they carry new and used firearms, large supply of shotguns, rifles, and handguns. Ammo Dump will buy, sell, or trade in your item and can special order whatever you like. They also have knives, scopes, ammo of any caliber, and provide gun cleaning and restoration. Call them today for the best competitive pricing around.
If I don't have it or can't get it because I don't make it, come and see us.
That's Ammo Dump, located next to Woodman's Package in Norfolk.
Did you know when you shop at Sears Hometown Stores, you are supporting your local community? That's right. Your local Sears Hometown Store is locally owned and operated by one of your neighbors. Their store offers the best of what Sears has to offer with the top brands and appliances, tools, and lawn and garden. They also offer great financing options that work no matter what you need. Remember to stop by your local Sears Hometown Store today and support a local member of your community.
At MSI, they're not just another trash service. They're your friendly, family-owned and operated trash service, providing residential, commercial, and roll-off pickup. MSI offers competitive rates and services 5 counties in the north central Arkansas area. Various dumpster sizes available for commercial and accommodating you with weekly pickup for your convenience. Call Tammy or Kathy today at MSI. MSI Trash Service, small enough to know you and large enough to service you.
Take a step back in time when going to a barbershop meant more than just getting a haircut. Come into Legionnaire Barbershop today, a unique gentleman's barbershop. Get back in style with 2 experienced licensed barbers who are trained in tonsorial arts and lock removal and are happy to give you a straight razor shave. Legionnaire Barbershop is veteran-owned and operated and located at 1041 Highland Circle, Suite 55 in Mountain Home. For a full, old-fashioned barbershop experience, stop by Legionnaire Barbershop today. .54, Senator Scott Flippo, District 17's here. And about 2.5-3 weeks ago, I had Prosecuting Attorney David Etheridge, District 14, with Michelle Steiner of Grandma's House.
You bet.
And human sex trafficking is something we think of Chicago, Cleveland, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, New York, but no, it's right here in Baxter, Searcy, Newton counties. After that show, Senator, I went home nauseated. I sat on the front porch swing and thinking about what we had talked about, not only on the air, but off the air. And some of it I can't divulge, but it's like, is the sun in my ears? Did I just hear this?
Yeah. Now, imagine from Mr. Etheridge as the prosecuting, as the prosecuting attorney here in North Central Arkansas, or as, Sheriff Montgomery or his deputies, or Chief Kerry Manuel, or anybody in law enforcement. When these are the things that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, they're not coming into contact with with us and just seatbelt violations. I mean, they get to see the worst of the worst. They get to hold the child, tear him out of the house when mom and dad have both OD'd and got needles in their arms. They say, like, they open the refrigerator and say, like, this kid's not eating anything. So they see these things close up, and they see them on a regular basis. Where we see them is on the news, maybe on on the internet somewhere. We read about it in the newspaper, but it's not something that we physically and visually see and encounter in our day-to-day lives. But these folks do. And imagine the trauma and just seeing these things and going through that. And you got to carry that with you and do your job. And it's just, and that's where I'm old school, man. Pedophiles and all these other things. It's like, hey, I do believe you got a right to, jury trial, jury of your peers, innocent proven guilty. But I don't think you get 20 years worth of appeals.
Senator Missy Irvin called me a couple of weeks ago, and she's working to try to get stiffer penalties for pedophiles and things of this nature, since judges have been too soft on some.
Yeah, I actually looked into, doing a bill last year, making, certain eligible. I wanted to do the death penalty.
Really?
Found out there's already case law and precedent says, cruel and inhumane punishment and da-da-da-da. And I was like, the premise is that, okay, nobody has a bad day and just molest a 4-year-old or something. There's certain things that you can't chalk up to, I had a rough childhood or I was abused as a kid. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Da-da-da. You do, people make decisions. And I don't believe that you just, that you go off and abuse and molest children and then you become reformed or recover. You don't go to prison and be like, okay, well, I've learned my lesson. It's your hard wiring or whatever that is.
And I can't imagine.
And I want those people out.
Because the childhood I had in Southern Illinois was just phenomenal. I mean, I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade my childhood for anything.
It's so much more than just a temporary crime. You are taking and robbing these kids of their innocence, of their purity, of their trust, of their self-worth.
Yeah.
And I can almost cry sitting here and try to list off the things that you're taking
these, that day, I sat on the front porch
from these kids. Penalties as far as, giving you, instead of a mandatory or average of 7 years, we're going to double it to 14. It still ain't good enough for some of these folks. So. And I wouldn't give a care if they never offended again. You did it one time. And we looked on this language, and I said, okay, I had to get very specific in the language and try to make it as narrow to make sure it's like, okay, I'm not looking for the 18-year-old boyfriend that's going to go to prison for life, because he slept with a 16-year-old girlfriend. And mom and dad didn't like. I was like, okay, there's some issue, but you don't need to. I'm not looking the same as a 40-year-old man that molested a 2-year-old child or a 4. That person. They need, listen. I say they need to be on death row, and we need to do what we can do to fast track it. Yeah. But it wasn't constitutional.
Yeah, I was so nauseated after that show. It just that one program that day haunted me.
Now, imagine spending your career and dealing with that.
I know.
I mean,
I know. Final minute. Your thoughts.
Ooh, that's a scary place to go. I tell you, times it just seems like, these are crazy and trying times for everybody. We've got COVID. It seems like the world's coming apart at the seams. And what I just always encourage people to remember is that, as citizens, we have our own responsibility to be good neighbors, to look, to seek, to help others, to be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. We can have our own disagreements, but if you think that, you don't like a mask ordinance, and so your response is to go over there and just trash a store and have a tantrum, That's not acceptable. You want to protest something because you think, with law enforcement, you don't get to go around burning or looting or doing anything else. I mean, there are certain standards, and that's something that we have to not just,
disagree peacefully.
Disagree and hold each other accountable and work to elevate our standards. But moving forward, I want to encourage everybody to get out and vote in November.
Yep.
And make sure, especially if you're planning on voting for President Trump, we need another 4 years. I think he's done a phenomenal job, and we got to keep this country moving in the right direction.
And we got to go. See you tomorrow.